Shri Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam. Pranam, pranam. Pranam, pranam, pranam. Pranam, pranam, pranam. Hari Om. Yesterday we were talking about the three categories which Papa mentioned in the outpourings. You remember? Struggle, prayer, and experience. So, the November vision will try to touch upon these three aspects. In sadhana in any field, these three are essential. Anything to achieve, we have to struggle. And then, whenever we find we have exhausted our resources, pray. And then finally, it culminates in the experience. So we will go through some of the articles. Rough poem, Papa's poem. In the womb of pain, the baby of joy is born. From the mires of springs, the beauteous lotus. The clouded sky reveals the radiant blue. Grim darkness holds the grandeur of light. In the depthless ocean lies the rarest gem. So in the ache of thought find wisdom pure. In the heart of struggle, the haven of peace. In the battle of life, the victory. Editorial. Struggle seems to be an element essential for progress in any field. There is a phrase, pain precedes deliverance. So let us not deprecate the relevance of it. On a closer scrutiny, we realize struggle does help in bringing out potentialities lying dormant within the person, which will help not only the person subjected to go through the struggles, but also a larger segment later. In other words, struggles serve as stepping stones to the zenith of success and peace, to the individual in particular, others in general. In the field of spirituality also, the same case applies. Papa says, every sadhaka's life is a life of tremendous struggle. To conquer the lower nature and reveal the glory of the divine is the purpose of sadhana. The sadhaka, before he starts on this enterprise, is a mere tool in the hands of the ego, which dominates and controls him in every way. To destroy the ego sense is not an easy task. A supreme endeavor, backed up by divine grace, is necessary. The mind has to be brought into subjection and all the desires vanquished. So during the struggles, a stage comes when the sadhaka seems to have exhausted all resources and seeks guidance for moving forward from those who have scaled the heights. Even after this, the struggle might continue. At such times, intense prayer wells up in the heart of a sadhaka, seeking direction and protection. Proportionate to the intensity of the prayer and commitment to the goal, the prayer gets answered, and what follows is the experience for which the struggle was started. Therefore, struggle, prayer, and experience form the basis for a successful life in any field. This month's issue of the Vision carries articles on these lines. When we look back to our own life, this will become very, very clear. Right from the moment we started knowing ourselves as an individual, no? Childhood days. Everything we struggled. And whenever we are at blind roads, we seek guidance, prayer, and then we get the experience. Again we move on. Same thing applies in spiritual journey. Spiritual heroism, article by Birad Papa. The first quality necessary in a sadhaka, when he strives to realize God, is a heroic spirit. Lukewarm enthusiasm and a timid march on the path prolong the struggle, often ending in uncertainty and disaffection. Be therefore earnest. Employ all the resources of your being to advance toward the supreme goal. Let your thoughts, words, deeds have a background of divine consciousness. Not from the sense of individuality level, no? Steadily practice concentration of thought on God until you feel His nearness to you, until you become aware of His presence with you, until you have the vision of Him everywhere about you, until you realize your oneness with Him. Prayer is an invaluable means of keeping an intimate contact with Him. Taking His name fills your mind with His remembrance. Doing all things in His name brings you still in closer communion with Him. All that you do for Him, you ought to be brave. Obstacles should not daunt you. Every favorable circumstance should all the more steel your purpose. Steel, no? S-T-E-E-L. Steel your purpose and strengthen your will. You should be calm, determined, for you have to put up a stiff fight with all the subversive forces that seek to keep you in the thraldom of a relatively arid, ignorant life. With all the intrepidity of your soul, you have to tear off the cloak of animal nature in which you are robed and beneath which your intrinsic divine nature is hidden. Be free from lust, greed, wrath. Feel one with all beings and creatures. For the spirit dwelling in you and all of them is one. Be a lover of God in humanity. Shake off the body notion. Be aware that you are the immortal spirit, ever united with God. Break loose from false conventions and forms of creeds, sects, castes. Snap the bonds of out-of-date dogmas and traditions. Like a bird getting free from the cage, soar in the heavens of a blissful, infinite consciousness. Be intoxicated with God and realize your identity with Him. Through love, enter into the depth of all hearts and feel your oneness with them in spirit. See the light of your eternal beloved on the faces of all high or low or caste or outcast, rich or poor, learned or ignorant. The still and calm spirit at the back of your manifest life is a witness, and this manifest life is a spontaneous flow of the witness spirit. So a selfless flow of service is the keynote of it. Be true to the almighty truth within you. Sacrifice, dedicate, and surrender yourself to Him, and face all dangers and sufferings with a smiling front. Know you and He are not different. Fling the drop of your individual life in the infinite ocean of divine existence. You are essentially divine. Unveil yourself, reveal the grandeur, beauty, and wisdom of your being. You are the cosmic, eternal reality. Any particular aspect, is touched and kindled when you hear this? Otherwise it will become a reading session.
It is going to the inner core of the being.
Once again they want you to read.
Here once again they wanted to read.
Yes, Swamiji, emphatically.
The first quality necessary in a sadhaka, when he strives to realize God, is a heroic spirit. Lukewarm enthusiasm and a timid march on the path prolong the struggle, often ending in uncertainty and disaffection. Be therefore earnest. Employ all the resources of your being to advance toward the supreme goal. Let your thoughts, words and deeds have a background of divine consciousness. Steadily practice concentration of thought on God until you feel His nearness to you, until you become aware of His presence within you, until you have the vision of Him everywhere, and until you realize your oneness with Him. Prayer is an invaluable means of keeping an intimate contact with Him. So the goal he pointed out, the 4 steps. Nearness, presence, seeing Him everywhere, becoming one with Him. If this much stays in our mind, that is enough. Because this is what I am striving for. I must be able to feel His nearness first. Then slowly the glimpses and His presence. And then I must see Him everywhere. And finally I should become one with Him. So we pray, I don't want anything, I want to become one with you. So Sanidhyam, Samipyam, Sanidhyam, Vyapanam, Ekatvam. This should keep on coming back in our mind. So he wants heroic spirit, not lukewarm, dull. Today we try to take up, tomorrow, some other preoccupations. It should be steady, persevering. It should not be diluted. We should be earnest. All our thoughts, words, deeds should have the divine consciousness, background of divine consciousness. And then comes about a prayer. Prayer is an invaluable means of keeping an intimate contact with Him. It is not simply repeating the word, We bring before our mental vision, either the Guru or the chosen deity, or whatever concept we have on the impersonal reality, so that we develop a relationship, an invaluable means of keeping an intimate contact with Him. Taking His name fills your mind with His remembrance.
Invaluable means what?
Invaluable means
invaluable.
Priceless,
Priceless.
Doing all things in His name brings you still closer communion with Him. That means sense of agency, sense of actorship will not be there. God make me to do it. God make me to have this. God made me to achieve this, So taking His name fills your mind with His remembrance. Doing all things in His name brings you still in closer communion with Him. But in all that you do for Him, you ought to be brave. obstacle should not daunt you. Every unfavorable circumstance should all the more steel your purpose and strengthen your will. Suppose it is smooth, we will not have. Suppose suddenly one obstacle comes, we will not be able to stand the test of it. Stealing, S-T-W-E-L, S-T-A-L-L, steal. Steel, no. Kambi. Steel your purpose and strengthen your will. Every unfavorable circumstance. You should be calm and determined, for you have to put up a stiff fight with all the subversive forces that seek to keep you in the thraldom of a relatively arid, ignorant life. So when we try to move, something is pulling us to keep us in the same position. So we have the stiff fight, tug of war. With all the intrepidity of your soul, you have to tear off the cloak of animal nature in which you are robed and beneath which your intrinsic divine nature is hidden. Animalistic tendencies, means all lower tendencies.
YouTube, I heard a word called what is meant by Sadhana.
Let us complete this. Be free from lust, greed and wrath. Feel one with all beings and creatures. For, why? The spirit dwelling in you and all of them is one. This is a very important, all articles are important, but at one stage we feel, this has to be read, reread. And then we have to apply our mind, manana. Because this is he is portraying as to how a sadhaka should be. Guidelines for a sadhaka. Wonderful. Every time when you read, you must have read many a time. Every time he gives us a new light. Shake off the body notion. Be aware that you are the immortal spirit ever united with God. Break loose from false conventions and forms of creeds, sects, caste. Snap the bonds of out-of-date dogmas and traditions. Like a bird getting free from a cage, soar in the heavens of a blissful and infinite consciousness. Be intoxicated with God and realize your identity in Him. Through love, enter into the depths of all hearts and feel your oneness with them in spirit. See the light of your eternal beloved on the faces of all, high or low, caste or outcast, rich or poor, learned or ignorant. The still and calm spirit at the back of your manifest life is a witness. And the manifest life is a spontaneous flow of the witness spirit. So a selfless flow of service is the keynote of it. Be true. Be true to the almighty truth within you. Sacrifice, dedicate, surrender yourself to Him and face all dangers and sufferings with a smiling front. No, you and He are not different. Fling the drop of your individual life in the infinite ocean of divine existence. You are essentially divine. Unveil yourself and reveal the grandeur, beauty, wisdom of your being. You are the cosmic, eternal reality. Finally, he puts the stamp, So when we hear this, at least one expression, if it stays with us, that is the purpose of going through this.
Swamiji, this passage is taken from which book?
Must be from divine life, or we don't remember exactly. We have brought it in the Sadhana Sadhaka, small book. These are from unpublished letters, correct. These are from unpublished letters. You would not have seen. It has been brought in the Sadhana Sadhaka book. Anyhow, what do you remember?
Tear off the cloak. Tear off the cloak of animal nature. Tear off the cloak of animal nature. With all the intricity of something.
Then, anything else?
Is it been published, Swamiji? Has it been published?
Not
Sadhana Sadhaka book, Swamiji says it is there in the
It is there, it is there.
Thank you. Hari Om.
No, that is okay. What is it that says? You heard twice, you know.
Essentials have been dinned into the ear.
Pardon?
Essentials have been already dinned into the ear and has gone in.
Essentials has been dinned in the ear. Essentials has been dinned into the ear. It has gone in it since. It has to come out. What has gone in has to come out.
Anybody else?
Swamiji, prayer is to keep an intimate contact with God.
Prayer. Good. This is what we want, you know. Something that stays with us. Then, because you have not seen the article, you have only heard. So the assimilating power has taken, we cannot take everything. Something must be there. Then.
Something, if we do mistake,
Anything from this? Anything from this article?
Swamiji, be free from lust, greed and wrath.
Yes.
You are essentially divine.
Yeah. Good. Then.
Even if there is immense struggle, we are to continue and persevere.
Even immense struggle, we should continue and persevere.
Very good, very good. Then
We have to be positive.
We have to be
about our
positive
sadhana.
in sadhana.
we have to be
Positive in our sadhana.
heroic.
realizing a mistake and realizing and understanding the mistake.
Realizing our own mistakes. Realizing our own mistakes.
That is not covered here. It's all right. Then.
Background of divine consciousness. Background.
Every thought, every word, every deed should have the background of divine consciousness.
So that means even the prayer is coming from Him.
Prayer.
That
Yes.
is also coming from there.
Then.
Steal your
Swamiji, obstacles should not daunt you.
Exactly. Very good. First class. First class. Obstacle should not daunt you. Then.
Fight with subversive forces, lower tendencies and downpulling forces.
Then. Anything else?
Swamiji, I have, please clarify, Swamiji. Yesterday you told that all thoughts you identify with God thought. அப்போ வந்து இந்த downpulling thoughts வந்து it's also given by God.
Now he also says you get over it. Ellame. Not one, everything.
We must please to
He said, not merely that, he said, why are you giving me such thoughts? When Papa asked, he said, why do you separate me from that? The moment you associate me with that, it changes its phases. The so-called downpulling tendencies change their phases and they become uplifting. The moment God thought comes in. Why are you giving me this? So immediately you have brought him into the picture. Acha, now you called me, no? That is why I brought you. It could be in so many ways. We are immediately thinking from our level. No, a little bit of higher level. Only from the higher level we can see that this is bad, this is good. So when we see that, Acha, you have brought this only to make me aware of the, you have cautioned me. There could be so many ways by which the relevance of the so-called negative thoughts. Why he has given. As we advance in our spiritual journey, those things will become clearer and clearer.
Thank you, sir.
Then, most important one nobody has said.
No, fling the drop.
Still, we have to be still to face reality.
Steal your purpose.
Steal your purpose and strengthen. When unfavorable circumstances come, we should not be vacillating. We should be fixed. Good. Then
That fling the drop of individual life in the ocean.
fling the drop of insurance. That means I must take off from the sense of individuality, the limited. The sense of otherness sets limit to the illimitable. So I should take a leap into the unlimitable. Okay. Then that fourth stage nobody says. That is important.
One with them.
Prayer, nearness, and be one with him. Struggle.
No.
Struggle in
That is not. He has specifically.
Awareness, prayer, being everywhere.
No. Step by step. First, we try to feel his nearness. We try to go back, we try to, through prayer, through Ramnam chanting, through Satsang, through Manana, we try to become aware of his presence. We try to become the nearness. And then, again we steadily practice by concentrating on one thought at the exclusion of all other thoughts, or surrendering to the power, and then we have a glimpse of his presence. And then later we feel his presence inside. And the third stage is, having reached this, if it applies to me, it should be the same to everybody. So I try to see that what is in me, when I have identified the core of my being, naturally that should be the core of the being of everybody, every creature. And then, even then, me, the other, they exist. So finally I should become one with him. So that is the most cream of this article. So Papa portrays before us, these are the 4 steps by which the spiritual journey comes to a halt. So whatever we are doing, it should be on the way. When we get obstacles, all those things are valid. But most important thing is heroism, heroic attempt. That means we will never get dispirited, dejected. At any point of time, we are in his, he is with us, he has been with us, he is guiding us, he has been guiding us. We may not be hearing it, we may not be knowing it, but he continues to guide us and take us. So we will reach. Why? You are the cosmic eternal reality. It is one of the very important articles by which, we get roused, When Vivekananda said, Shunvandu Vishwe Amritasya Putra, it was arousing, We were thinking, we cannot do this. We are grihasthas, we are professionals, we have got this, we have got that. But he says, no. You are basically, intrinsically, essentially that. You can do it. You should do it. Now we will move to Papa's next words. How to control the mind, we have already explained, but again we will read. To control the mind, to still the mind, it is not a joke. We have no reason to be disheartened. God or Guru is always there, ready to help and guide us. Seek His help in all humility. Gradually, by meditating on the Supreme Spirit within you, by remembrance and surrender, you will be able to control it, free it from all vasanas and desires. During his wandering life, Ramdas was devoting all his time exclusively for remembering God. He had darshan of so many saints who had reached the pinnacle of God realization. Still his mind was playing tricks sometimes. He had a tremendous inner struggle to keep the mind down. In his utterances in the Kadri cave, Mangalore, which comprise the last portion of In Quest of God, he has given out his experience, prayers and struggles at that time. He used to think of God, pray to Him, bow to Him, surrender to Him. He found that he had gained peace and the mind had disappeared. He felt exultant over it, but again the mind came up and the battle started to put the fellow down. Ramdas then intensely thought of God's attributes. Again there was relief from the clutches of the mind. Joy welled up in his heart and he felt that the struggle had ended. In 2 or 3 days, the fellow was up again. Ramdas again prayed to God. He used to get frantic. You will find the outpourings of his heart in those utterances. That kind of struggle is perhaps common to all spiritual aspirants at one stage or other. In spite of his surrendering so much to God, this was taking place. He asked God, why do you still allow these things to be in the mind? He replied, why do you think them to be different from me? Identify all things with me, then they will change their faces. Destruction is not possible. Transform them. Then Ramdas said, you are this, you are that, you are everything, you are everything. Then those things as such disappeared. A new joy arose in the heart. Everything in Ramdas was completely transformed. So Ramdas tells all, identify every object of your thought with God. Let the mind wander. Wherever it wanders only in God. Don't try to catch it and put it in one place. Wherever the mind goes, there you are, my God. All thoughts, feelings, impulses, everything is yourself. Then words of Mataji. Unless and until we get an intense craving to realize Papa, He will not reveal Himself in our heart. Everybody is hearing, na? Unless and until we get an intense craving to realize Papa, He will not reveal Himself in our heart. When we evince a keen hunger for Papa, Papa means, the indwelling and all-pervading reality. It means that the Kundalini has risen beyond the navel and is progressing towards the heart center. From what I can see among the people here, none has gone beyond the navel stage, as none is exhibiting such a keen hunger.
Swamiji, in the pathless path, Papa is starting from bhakti only. That is above the navel, above the heart chakra. So we have to start, Papa is starting with that only.
Anyway, let us hear what Mataji has been observing us, So she found that we have not reached anywhere. We simply say lukewarm now. With all our this thing, we also say Ramnam. We also say we want to realize Him, not deep. So when the Kundalini rises to the heart center, we are seized with such a hunger for the Guru that we only want the Guru, only the Guru, nothing but our Guru. If we are to develop such a hunger for Papa, we should first devote our body, mind and wealth to Him. We can dedicate our mind to Him only if we first learn to offer Him our body and limbs by serving Him in the many forms around us. So selfless service helps us. In my case, I had no wealth, but Papa made me work and serve him in many forms around me with my body and limbs. This helped me to go within and concentrate my mind on him and him alone. Even these early stages in our sadhana, like being ready to expend our body and wealth in his service, can come to us only by chanting his name. That is why I am after everyone here, asking them to repeat more and more Ram Nam. Instead of paying any heed to my words, most people tell me vehemently, oh, don't worry, I am always repeating Ram Nam. If this were a fact, why don't I see any external signs that should always become evident with intense chanting of Ram Nam? Moreover, how can you hope to progress towards Papa if every request of mine to chant more and more Ram Nam is greeted with a bland statement that you are already doing it? Indeed, we should never be satisfied with whatever little progress we have made, but strive continuously to rise higher and higher, praying to Papa all the time to take us higher and higher. If we rest on our laurels, then we are bound to fall down, lose even a little height we might have gained. For this, we have to be constantly on our guard by chanting Ram Nam and praying to Papa all the time to take us to him. We are all growing older and older day by day. Any day, today, tomorrow, the day, the call may come and we will have to go. Then one more life will have ended without our achieving what we have come on earth to achieve, namely Papa's eternal Swarup. So even if we experience fleeting moments of spiritual exhilaration, we should not be under the mistaken impression that we have risen high on the spiritual ladder and become smug over it, because it is such a feeling that is bound to pull us down and down. Our effort should all the time be to rise higher and higher. A young Canadian Indian who had been here for some days came to Mataji to take leave. She gave him a packet of sweets and prasad, asking him to keep the latter always with him. Then Mataji told him, whatever work you do it as his service. Keep your mind always on him by bringing into your mind his universal attributes such as thou art infinite, thou art eternal, thou art all-pervading, and so on. Pray to such a supreme being to reveal himself in your heart. Let his name be ever on your lips. Canadian, does this mean that I should dedicate all my work to him? Mataji, yes, you have to consider all that you do as his service. Perseverance is necessary by Swami Sachidananda. Saints struggled very hard to realize the supreme goal of human life, and even after attaining the goal, they continue to strive to awaken the slumbering souls to the reality. They have done their part. Now on our side, we have to work hard to attain the goal shown by them. Though we all know how they all had to struggle very hard, most of us are unfortunately taking it very easy, thinking that we can also reach the goal soon without serious struggle. Of course, we all will reach the goal someday, but not unless we work very hard for it. They are not asking us to do something impossible. They tell us that it is enough if we have intense devotion and fiery aspiration to reach God. For that, through books and oral advice, they ask us to take God's name constantly. Constantly is a word we have to underline. Only by chanting God's name constantly we will be able to remember Him ceaselessly. We feel we are taking God's name and trying to see God in everything and all that, but actually when it comes to practice, we miss it many times. It is natural because the worldly pull is so strong that it takes us away from God remembrance. We may be thinking of God, we may be trying to see God in others, but the strong pull from the world makes us forget God for a long time, so the struggle goes on. Perseverance is necessary on the spiritual path. When we are seriously trying to realize God, there should not be anything standing in the way. Our devotion must be one-pointed. This does not mean we should give up our job, renounce our properties, our home and family. We can have all those things and live in the midst of them. But our attitude toward them should change. While maintaining God remembrance always, we must be able to identify all the family members with God. Accept anything that happens as happening by God's will only. If this attitude is maintained, we can stay in the family, we can continue to do the professional work and activities as before. Our main aim must be to realize God. We may say that we are striving to realize God and that we have no ambition or attachment in the world. But when suddenly something amiss happens in the family, we are shocked so much that we even blame God for what has happened instead of surrendering to God's will and remaining happy and peaceful. This practice of developing an attitude of surrender must go on ceaselessly. This practice of developing an attitude of surrender must go on ceaselessly. It's a great struggle in the beginning, but by practice it will become easy and we will be able to lead a very blissful life. The final attainment may be far away, it doesn't matter. But this practice itself will keep us in bliss and peace, always. It will remove all the tension we have in life. It will solve all the problems in life. In other words, our sadhana must be based on seeing God in everybody, seeing God in everything, submitting to God's will in all matters. So we have three articles. Actually four. Two from Papa, one from Puja Mataji, one from Puja Swamiji. The one was about heroic attempt, a portrayal of how we should move from stage 1 to stage 4, how we should be vigilant against all the obstacles. And Puja Mataji warned us that we are not earnest. So she is not demotivating us by telling us she wants us to take it seriously. Because unless and until we turn towards him, he will not look at us. Means what? Unless we have this intense aspiration, we will not be able to draw the necessary strength and courage from him to move forward. And in Swamiji's case, the same thing is repeated. But the most important thing is developing an attitude of surrender should go on. No? And merely repeating, when Mataji said you chant Ram Nam or write Ram Nam, we stopped with that. Purpose was to remember him. There is no easier method than chanting the name, to remember him. So to remember him, we are chanting. Remembrance is important. And then some quotations of one Shantananda Puri Maharaj about struggle and prayer. For all problems, whether spiritual or material, prayer to the Supreme Lord is one infallible remedy. Try it with all sincerity, you will be amazed at its efficacy. If you are unable to meditate, if the environment is non-conducive, or if you are unable to get a proper guru, pray to the Supreme Being sincerely from the heart, and all impediments and problems will vanish. Our mental tendencies from previous births are formidable force and are quite capable from lifetimes of practice to overwhelm even a yearning heart that wants to move upward spiritually. Therefore, prayer in all cases is the most essential ingredient for successful spiritual accomplishment. It is said that the Lord's ears are long, for he yearns to hear the prayer of his devotees. Moreover, he is quick to respond to the yearning, Y-E-A-R, yearning of a heartfelt prayer. Our unswerving persistence in maintaining forward moving progress itself becomes a goal. In ancient scriptures, a great truth can be found which says a sincere yearning and faith that union with God will occur is far greater than the union itself. Every time we keep on hammering this, He is guiding us, He has been guiding us, He is with us, He has been with us, The effective practice of sadhana actually occurs after the mind is put on the thought of God, for its nature is to usually become distracted. The practice is redirecting the mind inward in prayer while it is in a state of forgetfulness. When our minds tend to run after the things of the world, our only occupation is to bring it back to the thought of the Lord. When difficulty is experienced in attempting to reverse the train of thought in the mind, we should always resort to the greatest weapon in the human arsenal, prayer. One can pray, "O Lord, my mind is as hard to control as the wind. Therefore, please help me. For thou art the struggle, thou art the victory." Prayer is essential. We must be truthful and clearly admit to ourselves that for most of our lives we have danced with the world. We should not be surprised when we are in a time of great need and finally turn towards God for help, that God seems to be slow in coming. If we are not in the practice of attaching our thoughts and hopes on the Lord during times of tranquility and ease, then we will forget to seek Him when trouble and sorrow surround us. When waging war on the mind, a true pronged spear should be wielded: practice and prayer. Even if the practice is not proceeding well, then one should increase the amount of time in prayer. At such times, prayer should be included to the Lord for His aid in help in successful sadhana. If a spontaneous prayer does not come to mind, then take out the prayers of others on loan. But it should be done with bhava. Normally we all repeat the prayers of others, It's only a loan, temporary, Beautiful. If a spontaneous prayer does not come to mind, then take out the prayers of others on loan. But it should be done with bhava. Then let us see what Ramana Bhagavan says. Everybody complains of the restlessness of the mind. Let the mind be found, and then they will know. True, when a man sits down to meditate, thoughts rush up by dozens. The mind is only a bundle of thoughts. The attempt to push through the barrage of thought is unsuccessful. If one can by any means abide in the self, it is good. For those who are unable to do so, chanting or meditation is prescribed. Japa or dhyana. It is like giving a piece of chain to an elephant to hold its trunk. The trunk of the elephant is usually restless. It puts out in all directions, and when taken out in the streets of the town, if given a chain to carry, the restlessness is checked. Similarly, with the restless mind, if made to engage in japa or dhyana, other thoughts are warded off, and the mind concentrates on a single thought. It thus becomes peaceful. It does not mean that peace is gained without a prolonged struggle. The other thoughts must be fought out. Searching what the mind is, the thoughts will recoil. Seeker will know that they arise from the self. It is the aggregate of these thoughts that we call mind. If one realizes that the thoughts arising from the self and abide in their source, the mind will disappear. After the mind ceases to exist and bliss of peace has been realized, one will find it then as difficult to bring out a thought as he now finds it difficult to keep out all thoughts. If one wants to abide in the thought-free state, a struggle is inevitable. One must fight one's way through before regaining one's original primal state. If one succeeds in the fight and reaches the goal, the enemy, namely the thoughts, will all subside in the self and disappear entirely. The thoughts are the enemy. They amount to the creation of the universe. In their absence, there is neither the world, nor God, nor Creator. The bliss of the self is the single being only. Anyway, one more. Strive without seeking. Nisargadatta Maharaj answers. Questioner, my question is how to find the way to one's own being. Maharaj, give up all questions except one, who am I? After all, the only fact that you are sure of is that you are. The I am is certain. That means I don't need anybody to say that I am, no? The I am is, I am this is not. Struggle to find out what you are in reality. Questioner, I have been doing nothing else for the past 60 years. Maharaj, what is wrong with striving? Why look for results? Striving itself is your real nature. Questioner, striving is painful. Maharaj, you make it so, seeking results. Strive without seeking. Struggle without greed. Question, why has God made me as I am? Maharaj, which God are you talking about? What is God? Is He not the very light by which you ask this question? I am itself is God. The seeking itself is God. In seeking you discover that you are neither the body nor mind, and the love of the self in you is for the self in all. The two are one. The consciousness in you and the consciousness in me, apparently two, really one. Seek unity, and that is love. How am I to find that love? What do you love now? The I am. Give your heart and mind to it. Think of nothing else. This, when effortless and natural, is the highest state. In it, love itself is the lover and the beloved. Everybody wants to live, to exist. Is it not self-love? Maharaj, all desire has its source in the self, capital S. It is all a matter of choosing the right desire. Question, what is right and what is wrong varies with habit of custom. Standards vary with society. Maharaj, discard all traditional standards. Leave them to the hypocrites. Only what liberates you from the desire and fear and wrong ideas, that is good. As long as you worry about sin and virtue, you will have no peace. Questioner, I grant that sin and virtue are social norms, but there may also be spiritual sins and virtues. By spiritual I mean the absolute. Is there such a thing as absolute sin or absolute virtue? Maharaj, sin and virtue refer to a person only. Without a sinful or a virtuous person, what is sin or virtue? At the level of this absolute, there are no persons. The ocean of pure awareness is neither virtuous nor sinful. Sin and virtue are invariably relative. Can I do away with the unnecessary notions? Maharaj, not as long as you think yourself to be a person. By what sign shall I know that I am beyond sin and virtue? By being free from all desire and fear. From the very idea of being a person. To nourish the ideas, I am a sinner, I am not a sinner, is sin. To identify oneself with the particular is all the sin there is. The impersonal is real. The personal appears and particular disappears. I am is the impersonal being. I am this is the person. The person is relative and the pure being fundamental. Questioner, surely pure being is not consciousness, nor is it devoid of discrimination. How can it go beyond sin and virtue? Just tell us please, is it intelligence or not? Maharaj, all these questions arise from your believing yourself to be a person. Go beyond the person and see. What exactly do you mean when you ask me to stop being a person? I do not ask you to stop being. That you cannot. I ask you only to stop imagining that you were born, have parents, are a body, will die, and so on. Just try, make a beginning. It is not as hard as you think. A few more articles are there that we will take it up tomorrow. So a quick recap, we started with the poem, In the Womb of Pain. Everything, Papa has beautifully brought it out. The baby of joy is born. From the mire springs the beauteous lotus. The clouded sky reveals the radiant blue. Grim darkness holds the grandeur of light. In the depthless ocean lies the rarest gem. So in the ache of thought, find wisdom pure. In the heart of struggle, the haven of peace. In the battle of life, the victory. And in the editorial we found that...
Swamiji? Swamiji, how do we know the nearness of God, Swamiji?
When we keep on praying to Him, we are praying, we close our eyes and pray to Him. What happens then? Oh Lord, please help me. Without you as the life force, I do not exist. I know very well, but I am not aware of your presence. When this dialogue comes, to whom are you talking? Slowly the nearness. You will talk to a person, when you are dealing with person, you will talk to a person who is near to you or he is nearing to you. Or when you talk over mobile, his face immediately comes before you, is it not? Do you follow?
Yes, Swamiji.
So that means the nearness is felt when you start talking. When he is available before you, or whether now you are there, you are talking. So when you are talking, Supriya is known to us now. So the nearness is felt. So that is why Papa gives a lot of importance for this dialogue. Because that is the one which enables us to move closer to Him. And ultimately results in the nearness. When the nearness gets stabilized, the next step is to have His glimpse. Intense prayer. I tried yesterday throughout, you did not. This is not right. You take Him into task. The more you take Him into task, the more nearer you are with Him. And then, so as you said, nearness, to develop this nearness is the very important one. Papa wanted us to concentrate more and more. That is why he prompted you to bring this question. Because that is the first step. We are reading and hearing, okay. He makes us to absorb certain ideas about the different facets of spirituality. Okay. But where should it start from? It starts from chanting His name and praying to Him. When I am chanting His name, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Papa wants us to know we are chanting the name of one who is within us, who is making me to chant. Nearness. You think about it. You as a person is now tutoring, teaching yourself that you are chanting the name of one who is seated within you and who is making you to chant. When we do that, slowly the nearness is felt. And then anything and everything we consult Him. Throughout In Quest of God, we found that whenever there is a pause moment, He immediately brings. That is why He repeated 450.
448.
Nearly 450 times Ram, 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 Ram. Every time when He repeats, He makes us aware that He is in close, intimate touch with Him. Think about it. Try to practice. We also pray to Him. You have given us all this background. So first let us step into the first step of feeling your nearness. So prayer, chanting, quality chanting. Acha, okay. Quality time. Quality chanting and prayer.
On that only, in the fourth stage, is witness is witness. Witness is
It will all become clear when we are on the process, Nearness, witness, mulla verum. Sanidhyam, witness, mulla verum. Let us not be academic, Let us be on the process. The process will give us. We are not on the process. We are with this bhavana. You make me aware of your presence, please. When we chant with love, we chant with faith, we chant with devotion. Add one more. Make us aware of your presence, please. Because this is the first step. Which one? Nearness. That particular word again we will read. Steadily practice concentration of thought on God until you feel nearness to you. Until you become aware of His presence with you. Until you have the vision of Him everywhere about you. Until you realize your oneness with Him. Rest of the articles we will try to go through. Anyway, it has been a great source of inspiration. At least some will remain with us. After that, we will try to note down the important point from each article. So this way he is trying to teach us now. All the attempt that he has been trying to make us do in the form of in-depth study of In Quest of God. It is the struggle, prayer, experience. We are all struggling. But we have something in our armament, no? We have something with us, not that we don't have anything. We have Ram Nam, we have prayer. We have the wisdom words of masters. With that we will perseveringly move forward. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om, everybody. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Namaskar, Namaskar.